Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on this Zeitgeist Spirit of the Time. We cannot believe that we are at the end of 2022. This is our 19th episode, and we are so excited to have one of our favorite artists on, David Damron. We will get started momentarily. Welcome. Thank you for those who are just joining. We will get started right at the top of the hour. We're very excited to have one of our favorite artists, David Damron, on today, and we'll get started shortly. Again, welcome for those who are joining us. We will get started in about 1 minute.
What do you need?
Welcome to those who have just joined us. We are here at Zeitgeist for our 19th Spirit of the Time episode. We will be starting momentarily with David Damron. Welcome to Zeitgeist Design and Production. I'm Becky Kiefer, Studio Director. Time travel is the ultimate immersive experience. VR, AR, and the metaverse pale in comparison to the notion of sailing across the sea of time. Here in the Zeitgeist Creative Studio, aka R&J's Time Travel Emporium, imagination is king and time is always of the essence. This is where location-based entertainers Ryan Harmon and Joe Lancicero study the past and spin the present, envisioning the future of UXIRL, user experiences in real life. Now, the Spirit of the Time Zoomcast offers a sneak peek behind the themes. And each month, we move you without a ride system, inviting one incredibly talented and influential colleague aboard our time machine. We set the controls for milestone moments in that person's career, attempting to unravel the mystery of what makes a guest experience timely yet timeless. And because we're live, you can type questions into the chat box and our passenger will answer them off the record after the hour. Climbing aboard our time machine today is one of our industry's unsung heroes, until now. Location-based entertainment art director, illustrator, and designer, David Damron. As the eldest of the notorious Damron creative clan, including cousins Greg at Universal Creative and Jeff at AECOM, David, under his banner of Artifacts Inc., has been an imagination for hire for over 40 years. His architectural and comic book style illustrations and designs, featuring breathtaking line work and all done by hand, have been the highlight of concept presentations and design packages at Disney, Universal, Landmark, Battaglia and Associates, our own Zeitgeist Design and Production, and hundreds of design firms, architecture firms, and owner-operators around the globe. It's now my pleasure to introduce our time machine pilots, Zeitgeist President and Chief Creative Officer, Ryan Harmon, and Zeitgeist Executive Vice President and Chief Art Director, Joe Lancicero, along with a man who has a thing for motorcycle riding humanoid pigs in outer space, David Damron.
Whoa, here we go. Christmas. It's the best time of the year.
So, Ryan, we just returned on the time machine from 1964. We were in Japan because, believe it or not, our favorite Christmas special,
Yep.
Rudolph the
Red-Nosed
Reindeer, was produced in Japan.
Who would have known?
No.
But Raymond and Bass made a deal with this Japanese animation firm, Claymation, right?
Yeah. Well,
And made that, and Santa Claus is Coming to Town, and all of our favorite holiday
crazy
shows.
stuff.
So
Anyway,
this is our holiday show.
this is
And we're very excited to be here with one of our truly favorite designers and artists of all time,
David.
David Damron.
You know, when I'm thinking about David, it made me think about, it said that, design is mannered and art is messy. And I was thinking about David and his work and his career, and it kind of summed it up. I mean, his work is so disciplined. I mean, he studied, and he knows perspective and drawing, and his drawings are amazing. But there's, because of his lifestyle and who he is, there's kind of this kind of messy, crazy looseness too. And it's great to see that balance of things.
Well, yeah.
And everything that he's done. So enough about Rudolph and art.
Yeah, we want to thank you so much. Truly, you and I have been working together for 30 years now, and
at least
it's been amazing all the way through. And I've always known I could call on you because we've had this mind meld, and we think it up together. I write it, you draw it, and it was just awesome for many years. And wow. It's exciting to get to tell your life story.
So why don't we start? Why don't we start in 1955?
Okay.
And somebody is sitting on the floor in front of the TV watching. For many people, they may not even know who I do. John Nagy is.
Tell us about this, David.
Oh gosh.
We're in Lawndale, by the way. We know you were straight out of Compton, but now you've moved to Lawndale. So it's 1955. What are we doing?
Wow.
West 168th Street.
Okay. That's Compton or Lawndale?
Lawndale.
Oh, okay. Okay.
My granddad lived in back, and we had a garden, and my mother's brother Jesse kept an old Stearman, a Jenny, and had two-stroke motorcycles. It was an odd thing at the time.
Oh.
So it was pretty entertaining.
Yeah. Is that where your love for motorcycles started?
I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, was that where you first kind of learned about motorcycles and imagined, pigs driving them?
I didn't realize it, but I guess so.
Okay.
Because they were two strokes, so they made a real weird sound. He used to call them ring ding.
Okay.
Because of the sound they would make. It affected me, I'm sure. Mostly my mom.
Okay.
Mostly my mom.
So tell us about watching John Nagy and learning to draw.
Well, let me paint the picture for you. It's
okay.
It's 55. My mother is what? She's 24. There's no furniture in the living room. There's wine bottles lining the walls. And she's painting the ruins of Rome on the wall in oil paint in sepia and white.
Wow. Okay.
And there's a TV there, and that's where I watched John Nagy.
Oh, okay.
And John Nagy basically, and I didn't know this at the time, but what he was teaching was all drawings are made up of these basic primitive shapes arranged in different manners. And it just stuck. It just stuck. I wanted to draw like that. I wanted to be able to make things look real.
Wow. That's cool.
Even then.
So, yeah. So did you use this talent you found to get attention?
Always. Always.
How?
It was one of the first lessons. And the stranger you draw, the more attention you get.
Yeah.
Maybe not for the right reasons.
So David, now it's 1957, and your parents take you to the LA Drive-In to see probably one of my favorite Disney films, and probably had the same effect on me that it did on you, and that was Pinocchio.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I guess even then it was the perspective, that opening panning shot over the whole village.
Yeah.
The family story goes, I pointed to the screen and said, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Because in 55, there weren't many ways for an artist to go. So through my whole youth, my parents were always worried I wasn't going to make a living. So become an architect. And I love buildings, but I don't have that kind of discipline.
Yeah.
The two constants in my life were an obsession with drawing and a disdain for authority.
I see that.
Experience both.
That started in 55 and it's still going today.
Okay.
Yep. All right. So you told us that you felt that the pencil in your childhood was your imaginary friend. Tell us about that.
It wasn't a friend so much as a place.
A place, interesting.
A place,
Okay.
because on the piece of paper, I could make up anything I wanted. I could go anywhere in the world or space or wherever I wanted.
Yeah.
On my own terms.
Yeah.
And it just turned out that once I had played in this place, I could show it to my parents and they go, why are you drawing these things?
Yeah.
They'd play pinochle, I'd lay on the floor and be quiet so I could stay up late and draw. When the card game broke up, I'd come in and show my drawings. The timing was critical because if the guests were leaving too soon, they wouldn't pay attention to me. So I learned timing early on.
Okay.
You knew exactly.
And that was my youth. I all I've ever done is draw. I mean,
Wow.
I don't know where this came from. Old movies about artists, I guess. I had this notion that the more of yourself you give to the drawing, the better it's going to be. And if you can if you can get to a point where you're totally focused and you put every ounce of energy into it, it shows. People react.
Yeah.
I guess getting a reaction has been a big part of my life as well.
Yeah, it's almost like you're an entertainer.
Love me or hate me, just don't ignore me.
Yeah. But instead of standing on the stage and performing or telling jokes like a comedian, you draw and you want that audience applause.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I had a jug band early on. And of course, what did I pick but to play the jug?
The jug in the jug band. Now you also played the guitar too, and you played very well.
Yeah, but I still draw better. That's my one regret is that I didn't spend more time practicing the guitar. But drawing and art are different for me anyway, and that comes naturally. I can't. I do it no matter what. But the guitar and music, I have to practice.
Right.
It doesn't just come.
Yeah, but even though the art just quote came, I mean, what I know, you practiced a lot and studied a lot. And I'm just saying that for the, the students listening, you really, you have to apply yourself. I mean, even what you were talking about a moment ago, where, you know, you put so much of yourself in that drawing. I think, you know, that's not to be discounted at all.
Yeah.
Oh, no, and practice counts in everything, but I practice drawing because I have to. It just happens. I would give myself a problem in each drawing, a new problem to solve, unbeknownst to the client.
Yeah.
I give myself some weird group of figures or some odd perspectives that I hadn't done before to keep me interested and keep learning. You never, if you're going to do this, if you're going to try and make art, you never stop learning. You can't.
Right.
You know, each variation you learn, it's like learning a new song. It's the same thing. You're going to learn something different from each song.
Right. Yeah.
And the amazing thing about this business is that every project is so different one from the other. You know, you're working. I was looking at all your incredible artwork, and also a testament to, just all your foundational learnings, in architecture. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. That you were able to bring so many different aspects to what you did.
I'm just like Ryan. We're both storytellers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're words and pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, that's basically how they hired us.
Yeah, that's true. So wait, let's keep moving on the machine here. So 1957, your parents took you to IHOP for pancakes.
But IHOP happened to be next to
Disneyland. How cruel.
Wow.
My dad had a wicked sense of humor. I might have inherited that. He liked to surprise people.
Yeah.
And he surprised me a lot. Because I had just been, it was, what was Walt's show at the time was Disneyland, showing the construction.
Right.
And I was a big fan. So I was a little kid. I was easy to fool. I wouldn't fall for that.
Yeah, most kids are.
So did you get to go, or you just stared out at the window with maple
Oh,
syrup?
no, we got to go. We went every year from then on.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's cool. Now, were you in bike riding range or something? Did you move down to that area?
I'm sorry, say again.
You in 1961, I think you moved within our bike riding distance to Disneyland.
We moved from Lawndale. My granddad died, so they could sell the house then because they wouldn't put him on the street. But so they sold the house and moved to Orange County. At the end of my street was a chicken ranch. Behind my house were strawberry fields.
Wow.
It was Orange County in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like those early pictures you see of Disneyland,
Right. Orange Grove.
surrounded by all the orange groves.
Yeah.
Nothing out there. Yeah.
And it was no big deal for my paper route to go from let's see, what is that? Lamson and Harbor all the way up to Disneyland and back. That was a big block like that I threw papers in.
Yeah.
And it was just another 2 blocks by bicycle to the front gate of Disneyland.
Wow.
Later on, I even worked at the Howard Johnson's across the street.
Oh, wow. What did you do?
Oh, I was a busboy and wound up back of house working in the kitchen.
Oh, wow. Okay. But did you spend your summers at Disneyland?
Always.
How did you afford to get in?
My paper route.
Oh, okay.
My paper route, and I'd mow lawns.
Yeah.
It was only like $5 to get in.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But put in the context of the time, that
Right.
was still money.
Yeah.
It was still, I saved quarters and nickels and dimes.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I mean, again, maybe flaunting authority a little, we would ask for spare change. I don't know if you
Really?
remember that was a thing.
Oh, wow. But did you ask people if they had extra tickets left?
Oh yeah, spare change, extra tickets. How about a candy bar?
I imagine you got a lot of A, B, and C tickets.
Oh, I know. And when Lincoln came into it, we sat in that damn thing. I was waiting for the guy to get shot.
Jeez. All right. So tell us about when you were drawing about this time, you made sounds to go with the pictures. How does that work?
Okay, I would draw war scenes.
War scenes. Wow.
Yeah, with tanks and airplanes and all kinds of things like that. So
Yeah.
they all make noise. So did I.
So you were just like all that kind of stuff. Okay.
Yeah, every sound effect you've seen in a comic book has come out of my mouth at one time or another.
Now, did this get you in trouble at school at all?
Always.
Oh.
Always. That's what I'm telling you. From the get-go. My accordion teacher even had problems with me.
You're accordion teacher. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Did they like take your pencil and paper away so you could draw?
The accordion guy wanted me to learn Lady of Spain, and I wasn't interested.
Okay.
So that was his problem.
Yeah. Did you used to draw on other kids' notebooks or anything?
That kind of happened in junior high.
Oh, junior high. Okay.
Because then I had seen Ed Big Daddy Roth, and I could draw Radfink. I could draw kind of like Ed Roth.
Yeah.
So that was my way to get attention in junior high.
But
for those of you of not of our generation, Big Daddy Ed Roth was also an inspiration to me, because I think he also, and I can see where he probably had a big influence on your work. Not so much on my, maybe to a degree too, but his work, he was just out there. He was, I remember it was the first artist, like, you know, he broke so many rules about cartoon characters, because if you watch Disney, all the characters were so perfect and cute, and even the Warner Brothers characters were a little crazy. But Big Daddy Ed Roth characters were so out there. You're like Radfink with the giant eyes out there. I mean, they were, you know, they were part of the motorcycle or the car that they were driving, distorted perspective. I mean, I think he really opened up a lot of, at least of our generations, you know.
I still draw like that, Joe.
I know you do, David.
There's a piece in the pig file where it's a giant pig riding a motorcycle eating a guy riding a Honda. Rice for breakfast.
Yeah.
Didn't you also try to draw like Ripley's Believe It or Not? Those kind of.
Well, that was the three comics I would copy on Sunday were Ripley's Believe It or Not, Prince Valiant.
Oh, there it is. Oh my gosh.
Wow. That's crazy.
That's pretty much Ed Roth.
Yeah.
Wow.
Actually taken to an extreme.
Jeez. All right, so let's move forward. You went to you entered a contest, I guess, some art center GM car contest for you.
The Fisher Body contest.
Okay.
They would do it yearly. When I was 12, I had read about this contest because I would build car models. So I read car magazines.
Okay.
And I had read about this contest that GM put on every year, the Fisher Body contest, and that's where they would give you a scholarship to Art Center and hire you to design door handles.
Wow.
Scholarship to design door handles. Nice.
Door handles?
Door handles, yes.
So for my 12th for my 12th Christmas, I asked for a drawing board, a T-square, 2 T-squares, a scale, and a compass, so that I could design a car and enter this contest.
Not your normal 12-year-old. That's awesome.
My mother's going, "This is boring. You want this?" So what you did was you designed the car, you do the plans, the sections, and then you build a model of what you've drawn. And there weren't online classes, but in the magazines, there would be an article about how do you create sections to build this model? What do you use to build this model? What kind of wood?
Right.
Much like music, I draw better than I play guitar, and I draw better than I make models.
So you didn't win, but that's okay.
I didn't win. I didn't even place. It was a crushing blow.
Oh. So let's move forward. 1968, you moved again to Huntington Beach for high
Yes.
school. And this is where you started your musical career in the jug band?
No, the jug band was going.
Oh, okay.
We found the right guitar player.
Okay. And this
And-
is where
and
you
We're playing restaurants, making bad jokes.
yeah.
We had a washboard player who, at the height of his washboard solo, would step on the pedal and 10 hula dolls would pop up and shoot confetti.
What?
It's like a Kiss concert. Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
So
It's some normal run-of-the-mill jug band to me.
So you started
Happened
taking
with the
art
band.
classes for the first time. Sorry. Did you start taking art classes around this time too? 68?
high school, Huntington Beach High was the first art class I had.
Yeah,
I had taken-
okay.
I had taken drafting classes because those artists are funny people.
Okay.
And I thought I was a jock.
You thought you were a jock?
Yeah, I played sports.
Oh, okay.
And the two didn't mix,
No,
not at all.
no.
Until well, Huntington Beach is 1968. I smoked pot for the first time. Organized sports in school seemed kind of silly. And I get
Okay.
picked for this art honors program based on drawings I had been doing for English.
Yeah.
I got through English by drawing character studies of Chaucer instead of writing papers.
Okay.
Well, Chaucer's all about the characters,
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
and they're described really vividly. So I could take those descriptions, do a painting of this guy, give it to my English teacher, and I didn't have to write a paper.
Wow, that's amazing. So the theme I see here is basically you were brought to Earth with this talent.
I was brought to Earth to make the marks that I have made.
Yeah,
To
it's
make the
really,
marks that you've made.
I
That's
love
great.
that.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that too.
yeah. So tell us about 1971 now, Laguna Beach Art School, full scholarship finally. What's happening?
We haven't
here?
finished Huntington yet.
Oh, sorry.
I got in an argument with my art teacher and told her to do something that's impossible and got thrown out of school.
I got through.
I think I know what that is. Okay.
Threw my one guitar and crap in my VW van and went to Mexico.
Right.
Came back and started to get a little more serious about things because I wanted to make rent.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's important to have a
So-
roof over your head.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so my parents said, move back home. We'll pay for Art Center if you can get in.
Ooh.
So Loretta and I moved from a tiny little house to a barn behind my parents' house.
Okay.
Art Center seems like a long way to go, and I'm not ready for it yet, so I apply at Laguna Beach School of Art, and I get a scholarship for drawing and sculpture.
Whoa.
Wow.
Okay.
And it's classical sculpture with calipers and a model and doing realistic sculpture. Because at the time it was a time of performance art where you could take 3 pieces of rope and throw them and call it a composition and charge money for it.
Right.
Right. Okay.
At Laguna Beach School of Art, I met Watson Cross, who is the best drawing teacher I've ever had.
Yeah.
He talked me into drawing really large. Like he goes, okay, you got the end of the studio. I want you to fill that space. So I did this
Wow.
big mural of all these naked women and men and across the end of the classroom.
Wow.
He loved it. Other teachers hated it. The end of the year came around. There was a party, a lot of wine and guitars, and this underage girl wound up in a dumpster, and we all got asked to go.
Wow.
Wow.
Jeez.
That's kind of an abrupt end to the
Yeah.
Laguna art experience.
Well,
Wow.
but there at Laguna Beach, I had met Richard Peck, who offered me my first job drawing.
Oh, okay.
It's the middle of the Orange County real estate boom,
Right.
and there are these sales offices at each housing tract where there would be 3 models of homes with 3 trim variations on each house.
Yeah.
And I got hired to do layouts for each of these things. I do 6 perspectives a day.
Wow.
Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching.
Yeah.
But the woman who ran the business was Katie Peck. Katie had been a ink and paint girl on Snow White for a 50-cent meal ticket a day.
Jeez.
Wow.
That's what she made, and they would line up to get that. This is a
Wow.
story I heard over the drawing table.
Yeah.
Okay.
So who knows?
Have to qualify it.
But she was from a very artistic family, and they had figured out how to live an artistic life.
Yeah.
So I worked for Katie for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Went from doing layouts to doing the big drawings that would come in the office would soon fall to me.
Wow.
Always taking her lessons about learning something new with each piece you do. And this notion that it's the act of drawing, not the drawing, that feeds your spirit. If you can be happy doing it, it doesn't matter what the content is, be it a house, be it a truck, be it a train, whatever.
Yeah.
If you bring all your knowledge and talent to bear, it's still art. I don't care what you call it.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's how we feel.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the journey.
Yeah. So yeah, and your mindset, having the right mindset.
Right. If you have to be there for the doing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like a Japanese brush meditation I used to do, where every morning I would paint 5 large enzos and then burn them,
Wow.
because it's about the doing, it's not about the piece. If you fall in love with the end, you're doomed.
Yeah. I mean, that's very Buddhist. It's like
Yeah.
the sand paintings where they spend, hours, days doing these beautiful sand paintings,
Yeah.
and then they just let the wind come and blow them away
Wow.
because it's about the doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, if you didn't enjoy doing it, why do it?
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And especially, in this crazy business, you never know if what you're drawing is ever going to get built, or if the people you're drawing it for are going to understand it or going to love it.
Yeah.
So if you worry so much about that, it takes the joy out of the moment. So, enjoy the process, enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I used to call my job, Joe, giving people something to change.
Did you teach me that concept of the straw dog?
Straw
Where
dog.
you put, there's a concept where I think that's what it's called, where you put something in your drawing or me in my writing or something purposely that the client's not going to like, so that they can feel like they changed it, and maybe other things that they wouldn't have changed don't get changed,
Right.
because they stuck to the one thing you gave them. You know what I mean?
I approach it a different way.
Okay, let's see it.
I'll give you 3 choices, one of which I know is the right one, and we'll see which one you pick.
Yeah, you've done that with me a lot. Yeah, well, we usually always pick the first one, which is probably your favorite, I think.
I've had more luck with the third.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I like the iterations. I like that process. I'd like to watch some idea grow and change and morph into something I didn't plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
right.
the exciting part.
So you got to do some restaurants around mid 70s now. Red Onion, El Torito, stuff like that.
Yeah, it was at Peck's Builders Art, I met David Solomon.
Okay.
David Solomon is a world-renowned watercolorist.
Oh,
Wow.
And he became my painting teacher for many years and good close friend. He talked me into going to art centers for what little time I stayed there. I forget where this was going. I'm sorry.
We were talking about restaurants.
Oh, okay. So I meet David Solomon. David Solomon looks at the way I draw and he goes, "You need to meet Arthur Valdez." So he sets up this meeting with Arthur Valdez, who was a big time restaurant designer in the 70s, late 70s.
Okay.
And he's doing prototype restaurants. I get an appointment with him to meet him and show my portfolio. I do that. He takes a blue and gold macaw, which is a big blue parrot. Big parrot. I mean, 3 feet long.
Wow.
Takes me, this parrot, we get into this little boat and we go across Newport Bay to the Balboa Bay Club. He's wearing tennis shorts and not much else. We get to the Bay Club, we have lunch, we go back, he puts me to work. He opens his book and says, "Draw this plaza." And it's your Mexican plaza with a fountain in the middle and 2 stories and railings and all that, and a palm tree and whatever it was. I drew it. I spent the day drawing it, sweat and blood.
Wow.
He comes in, he looks at it and he goes, "Well, looks like you can draw it, but I can't use this piece of shit." And he wads it up and throws it in the trash. And I start designing restaurants Monday.
Wow.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Wow. Well, I mean, I just confirmed what we said a moment ago about enjoying the moment, enjoying the process, because you never know, you might have somebody take it and rip it up and throw it away.
But through Arthur's office, I met Levitt Dudley. Levitt Dudley is a well-known marine illustrator. He's in museums in San Francisco, and he was working for Arthur. I come in, I'm the kid. He's the one that teaches me to tell a story in an illustration through the figures. Know what the people are. He goes, "You should be able to tell me what that person's saying to that person as they sit at that table."
Wow.
Wow.
And so that began the study of the figure and doing the figures that I do this very day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, that's what I love about your work. I mean, and I mean, it's one thing to do the architecture great or to create a great environment,
Right.
right? And but ultimately, human beings are going to be interacting
Yeah.
with it.
Right.
So, and I love in your work, there's always human beings interacting with it, and
Yeah.
it's obvious from what you just said, that you thought about,
What are they talking
what
about?
they're doing, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes the conversations I imagine are unprintable.
Yeah.
There's always something going on.
Yeah. So David, we're
Right, but before we leave that,
Yeah.
because I've actually got some of your incredible artwork right here, David, and I love that. This couple, I don't know is there a story here? What this couple is talking about?
What
I don't
piece have
think
you
they're.
got?
Oh, it looks like it's from a Paramount park, probably in Saudi somewhere.
Oh, the RD&E?
But yeah, and there's a family, there's a woman waving to someone, there's a guy, he's got his hand in his pocket, he's rubbing his hand. And I was looking at this like, God, there's so many great little stories there. But again, it makes it human. I mean, it's not just a
It's
piece
also
of
how I keep
architecture.
myself amused.
That's true. Yeah. So we're getting tight on time here. We still have like 40 years to go. So
Okay, let's put the time machine in fast speed here.
a
Let's
gentleman
move
we
to
all
Disney.
know named okay. Well, I just want to say you met Rich Battaglia, who is a great company down in Orange County that did Lotte World, which you worked on in South Korea.
And we're
Right.
very, very well known in the industry.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a great
Quick
part.
Lotte World
yeah.
story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make this quick. I get the job from Greg to do the storyboard for Sinbad.
Right.
David Solomon and I do it together because there's 20 some odd paintings to do.
Wow.
So we would work in tandem a lot. We used to have this little thing we called David and David. So we do the Sinbad storyboard. It goes to Rich. I get a call, you want to build it? And I'm thinking, really? Because I've done restaurant installs and I've had some background in seeing things realized in real life.
Yeah.
And I said yes.
Wow.
And became an attraction designer. Rich on Sinbad, he had got Lexington Scenery to do the bid package. So he
Right.
sends me to Lexington Scenery. Frank Benjavica goes, oh, and hands me to Nancy Ceruto. And I say, Nancy, I know what this thing looks like. I can see it through, but I don't know how to build it. You got to help me. And she basically educated me over the next year on how to do these things.
Wow.
So I had a pretty good teacher.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a really good point. I mean, Ryan and I did a Zoom cast the other day. We were talking to some young people about, the fact that now there are colleges where you can go and learn to be, a theme park designer. And I'm sure there's certain things that you can gain out of an academic approach to learning. But I think because, as we said earlier, this is a prototype business. I mean,
Yeah.
every project is different. I mean, the only way you really learn is by doing it.
You have a mentor. You
Yeah.
have a mentor. I mean, I've had a mentor.
Yeah.
It's really somebody taking you under their wing and going through the process.
And
That's
rolling
cool.
up your sleeves and getting dirty,
Yeah.
physically doing it.
Yeah.
Well,
So
the
David,
shock for
Lotte
me,
World open.
Yeah.
What's that?
the shock for me was at Battaglia for Sinbad. I had designed a 3-headed dragon
Right.
that's 5 meters tall,
Wow.
and it has to fit in this tiny little space in Korea and fit in a shipping container.
Yeah.
So I do my due diligence and I get out my scale and I'm really careful and I do all these drawings. And I show up at AVG to see the thing in steel and about fell over. I didn't realize how big 5 meters really is. And here's this giant mass of hydraulics and steel, and I'm responsible for it for the first time. And so
Right.
it was a shock.
Final tap.
The reality of it was an honest shock.
Yeah. So tell us about the advent of the fax machine in '88 and how that led to your company name.
Oh, it's simple. Before the fax machine, I had to be at meetings to show my thumbnails, to
Yeah.
show the progress on the layout before I could start drawing, before I could go to color. So what the fax machine did was eliminate those first two meetings, and that was a godsend. Give me two.
So that's how you came up with artifacts.
Yeah, and I had a 2-page comic that went with it,
Oh,
where I rescued my then wife from a crushing deadline by sticking bones under the letters of deadline, and I saved her with the bare bones project.
oh, okay.
So
All right.
I cold faxed this to everybody in the IAPA phone book.
Oh, wow.
Got maybe 3 hits and 16 desist and stop and desist faxes.
Wow. That's funny.
Wow.
I figured
Smart
they'll
marketing.
come in Monday morning and find this very humorous. Not.
Yeah.
Not.
So then you went on to work at some architecture firms, KTGY, TSL Merchant, and then finally went to Universal. Tell us about this era.
This little journey.
Actually, I was doing retail with TSL Merchant
Right.
when Mark Woodbury came by to see their progress on a project. He saw my work with them and hired me at Universal.
Oh, wow. Okay. And
So
then this was on Islands of Adventure.
yeah. First I worked for Rory Barnes on Lost Continent, and I was on the gray carpet because it was land specific.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait, yeah, explain the whole carpet thing.
Yeah.
In the 488 building during Islands, there were 3 colors of carpet. There was gray, blue, and purple.
Okay.
If you're on the gray carpet, you're a land specific person. So at that time I was working for Roy, just working on Lost Continent. John Lamanis saw my work on Lost Continent. He's doing Jurassic. So he goes up and goes, I want to use this guy. So then they moved me to the blue carpet. So I was project specific.
Oh, okay.
Then I worked with pretty much everybody except Seuss, because Wes Cook had that.
Yeah.
And Wes would come down to my office and commiserate over, I'll never draw well again. I'll have to draw like Seuss. Because he had learned that style, and it's difficult. It's really difficult to draw like that if it doesn't come from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So Islands is done. They moved me to this new group called Universal Creative and put me on the core group, and I'm on purple carpet. That's when we did Xena together, Ryan.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. What are we looking at here, David?
Confisco Cafe in Port of Entry and Islands.
Wow. Again, magnificent.
Yeah, I mean, you could just sit here and look at it all day. All
Yeah.
the line
But
work.
again, I've got a guy there selling you watches from inside the
Yeah.
store.
Yeah, I'm going. There's a guy in the corner wearing a fez. What's that all about?
City Green Street.
Yeah.
So then you're in the core group and you meet Barry Ebsen and what he called you in, he asked you what you see your role being at Universal.
Well, it was an interesting week. Don Rivera brings me my contract and she goes, you have to have a title.
Oh, right.
And she goes, I have a friend that calls himself a samurai art director. And I say, well, I'm evil blanking genius. So she put down evil genius. And I had cards from Universal saying evil genius.
Oh, cool.
So,
Oh.
so much of David's artwork, even now, is signed
EG.
DG.
Yep.
And what happened was I love the calligraphy of the E and the G.
Yeah. Wow. That's
Um,
awesome.
So we do this contract. Barry calls
Yeah.
me into his office and he goes, David, how do you see yourself with Universal? And me being an arrogant little shit, I go, I see myself as Universal's Herbie Ryman. And he goes, who's that?
What is this artist? He didn't know who Herb Ryman was. Okay.
Well, you could tell because the only artwork he had on his walls were fishing photographs.
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Oh.
So that was my last year at Universal.
Yeah. So then you went to Landmark. So now we're in
We're
the
off.
90s, and you and I got to work there a little bit together. No, this is Disney. We're at Landmark. So what did you do at Landmark?
Elevations. I elevated the whole park of Oz and would do layouts for Greg Pearl and Eric Heshon to do the
Oh, right.
presentation pieces. I shared office with Bill Stout for a year.
Oh, that's right.
Wow.
And this is where you met Greg Lyon?
I met Greg Lyon and caused you so much trouble with TEA.
Oh, right. So at this time, just to explain, I was involved in the Themed Entertainment Association and started a publication called Behind the Themes. And I asked David to be our comic guy. And so he did a piece of art that we called Damron's Believe It or Not.
Believe it or don't.
And I don't remember what happened, but after it got published, I think it was a magazine.
Well,
I don't know if I got the letter or the TA
you got
got
a
a
cease
letter.
and
We
desist.
got a cease and desist from Ripley's.
The gag was ancient papyruses were found to prove that the pyramids were actually cubes and they ran out of slaves. And that was the invention of value engineering.
Right. It was all about the industry.
That's
Well, yeah, and I had a second one planned. I just never got to do it.
Yeah.
Do you remember what it was?
I'm sorry, say again, Joe?
You remember what it was?
The second one?
Oh, yeah, it was the invention of the interactive dark ride.
Oh,
It was
okay.
and what was
Cro-Magnon going in a bear's cave and poking him with a stick.
Funny. That's great.
That's interactive.
That's it.
So 90s, you go to Mexico and you meet Rene Aziz, and you're working on La Ciudad de los Niños.
Luis Javier.
Luis Javier, yes.
Yeah. Nancy put Todd White and I together and we went to Mexico City.
Yeah.
Now that's an interesting pair.
Yeah. That's
A real yin and yang. There's a road trip movie there.
Wow. You got in some trouble down there?
No, close.
Close.
Yeah.
Close. Well, Todd
So
goes
you
and
and I, so around this time, I started a company with Brian Edwards in DTI called Story Department, and you and I worked on the Spy Museum in DC, which is where I was on 9/11 in 01. And I guess you were driving home one night from one of our meetings, and it was your 50th birthday or something.
yeah, I broke my femur, my right femur, shattered my pelvis in 14 places and shattered my left knee and knocked my teeth out.
Wow.
Oh my
Car
God.
accident. Yeah. That
And I was
shocking.
I was in the hospital for 6 weeks and on a morphine drip for a lot of that, during which
Wow.
time Brother Where Art Thou was on the TV.
Right.
And I don't know if it's a morphine or the Coen brothers but that's where Hogs in Space came from.
which is a comic series that you started. Comic book
Yeah.
series. Wow.
Morphine Drip and the Coen brothers.
Yeah.
Either one of those by themselves.
I know.
Dangerous.
I just believe you were really in the hospital because there's always, you probably had some deadlines with me. And it's like, where's
Well, I had
David?
to
He's not
back out.
Look at me. Oh, this is great
Wow.
stuff. Wow. Very
Wow,
cool.
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Chrome pig.
Yeah.
We saw that
Yeah,
one.
we saw that one. Yeah, there we are.
Wow.
And David, all your work is done traditionally. I know you do some work in the computer, but
Now,
most of what we're looking at is good old fashioned pencil, ink, and watercolor or gouache,
The
right?
things you're looking at now are blue pencil on Bristol board, India ink with a pen and a brush, and then paint.
wow.
Masterful. Look at that.
Wow. So cool.
I think we're getting.
So we're at about 2008, Amazon's kind of killing retail. And I had been over at Disney working on Shanghai and realized that you had never been working on Imagineering. And so I think I introduced you to Stan Dodd and our team, and what happened?
Oh, I was home. I didn't realize it. I always thought I had a little too much of an edge for Disney.
Yeah.
Because to me, the kiss of death is somebody taking themselves too seriously.
Yes.
Mm,
I mean, if life is not funny, it's crushing.
yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I avoided Disney because I don't do cute real well. I can scare the snot out of you,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I don't do cute real well at all. So I
Yeah.
avoided Disney. But what I found was they just wanted me to do my best.
Oh, wow.
And they had the time and the money to do it.
Yeah.
And it was like I found home. And it was a short but sweet reconnection with Chris Carradine.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Chris and I met back in the 70s when he was at Morrison Lowerback. And I was working he and I were both working in an open plan architectural building.
Okay.
And he had a Martin guitar and an Alfa Romeo, and I had a Martin guitar and an Alfa Romeo, and we both liked English beer.
That's made it happen. Wow.
So we made friends then, played together a lot. Life takes its turns. We go our separate ways. And I wind up back with Chris Carradine at that meeting at Disney.
Wow. That's great.
Now, I bet you both still had guitars, but probably not the Alfa Romeos.
Actually, I still have that damn Alpha.
Oh, you do? Wow. Wow. That's so cool. So,
It's like a bad penny.
Yeah.
so you got to work on Shanghai till opening pretty much, right? You have some art in the park too.
Yeah.
Probably the most complex drawing I've ever done.
Wow.
These are amazing
Wow.
drawings. Look at this.
So these are concepts for the Main Street, right? This is
This was all for Joe Kalinowski.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this looks like it was for their RD&E area.
Yeah. Wow. How long would one of these take you, a piece like that?
I got to where I was turning out one a week.
Wow.
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
Now this one's a lot longer because even the parade on the lower left had to be correct and zoom inable.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah. That's so cool.
And that one's all digital. The ink was drawn traditionally on ink on paper, but
And then just scanned it.
I scanned it and painted it in Photoshop.
Wow. So David, you told us, all right, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're talking about the
I was just
analog digital
Well,
thing?
no, you told us once that you make two kinds of artwork, one that seduces, right?
Yes.
And one that explains. What does that mean?
You just went through images that do exactly that. The
Yeah.
first set of images of Main Street are to seduce you, to make this place you want to see, you want to go to.
Yeah.
And those are at eye level generally. They involve the guest more. They give you a real point of view. See, this I'm at 5.5 feet eye level.
Okay.
And this is a seduction piece. It doesn't really
Yeah.
explain how that works. It's just a cool place. You want to walk
wanna
through
be
that
there.
archway.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is a seduction piece. The bird's eye of
Okay.
the overall place, that's the
Right.
explainer.
Explains it.
Okay. What do you mean when you say there's life in the line and that the brush doesn't lie?
Have you noticed best example are the pencils on Pleasure Island or Downtown Disney.
Yeah.
It's the thick and thin of the line. It's the part of the line you leave out. Generally, I do a really hard edge perspective and make that sucker work. Meaning the corners all close. This is the real building.
Yeah.
Then I put a piece of vellum over that and I draw the whole thing freehand so that my stroke, which is an artist's thumbprint, their stroke,
Oh. Yeah.
my stroke is visible. The beginning and the end, the light touch, the heavy touch, the shape of the point of the pencil. All these things show life. You can't fake it digitally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a big part of what excites me about doing a drawing.
Yeah. Well. So
And how I
David,
keep
with all
myself
your
involved.
So with all your wisdom and experience in these 40 plus years and having done projects for Universal and Disney and houses and hotels and restaurants and all this, what do you think makes a guest experience timely yet timeless?
How much of yourself you sacrifice to it?
Hmm.
If I give you everything I've got, you'll
Right.
feel it every time you look at that drawing.
Hmm.
Wow. Wow.
That's what makes you stop. David Solomon used to tell me, he goes, you got to make them make that sound. And I go, what? When they look at it, they got to go, ooh.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's universal.
Yeah.
You know,
You've done that.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got
I mean,
a stack of your artwork all over our office right now.
and every one of them,
piece.
I go, ooh.
Yeah. It's just amazing. What a
Wow.
amazing career.
David, I feel honored to have been able to work with you just a little bit. We never worked together at Disney, but over the years here at Zeitgeist, we've done a number of things together. And like you said earlier, one of the great things about what we do is you're constantly learning. You learn from the project, but more importantly, you learn from each other.
Yeah.
And I got to say, you've been a teacher and a master, and I thank you very much.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you,
Thank
Joe.
you for being on our Zoomcast. I know we didn't have time to get to everything,
But stick around after and we can show you guys more. So don't go anywhere because I had so much to show and
All
we
right.
didn't even scratch the
Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
it's about the work. It's not about me, damn it.
No, it's all about you.
All right. Well,
All right. Thank you again, David.
We
It was
want
really
to
great having
wish
you.
everybody
Thanks a
happy
lot.
holidays, December of
Bye.
22. And
Be safe. Have a great holiday and Happy New Year.
Being
All
safe
righty,
and sound, Joe.
Okay.
Bye, David.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
But really, don't go anywhere, David. Stay there. All right. We hope you guys enjoyed the ride. Thank you so much today to David Damron for time traveling with us. If you have questions for David and want to see more incredible artwork, please stick around for an off-the-record Q&A in just 60 seconds. On behalf of Zeitgeist Design and Production, we thank you for spending an hour of your day with us on the Spirit of the Time Zoomcast. Please plan now to join us on Friday, January 20th, 2023. I know, I'm dead. When our passenger will be a very recognizable former Disney Imagineer who is currently developing, the future of space tourism for Virgin Galactic, the one and only Joe Rohde. So may your tomorrow have the nostalgia of the past, the wonder of the present, and the promise of the future. Happy holidays, happy new year, you guys, and we will see you next year.
Get it.
Bye, everybody.